This is Hannah Williams from Salary Transparent Street. We're in Salt Lake City, Utah. Let's go ask some people what they do and how much they make.
I'm an environmental engineer
How long have you been doing it?
for about 3 years.
How much do you make?
I make
Do
$80,000.
you feel fairly compensated?
I think so.
Did you know the salary when you applied for the job, or how'd you get the salary you have now?
Moving through the company, basically. I didn't have that salary at the beginning. It was
Okay.
like $20,000 less.
So did you negotiate, advocate for yourself? How was that experience?
Just a lot of work, a lot of research. You got to be careful how you word stuff.
Do you think that pay transparency would have been helpful for you in that instance? Knowing
Maybe,
the
yeah, probably. So when I got my letter, actually the salary was less, but then when I started, they gave us a few thousand more. And then from there, I wasn't really progressing. And then I'm like, well, I found out you have to jump through the company or
Right.
leave the company and then come back later. So then I decided to just jump through the company because I'm a
Nice.
new, I haven't been in the industry for very long, only 3 years.
What career advice would you share with others who are interested in doing what you do, or what have you learned in general?
What I've learned in general is gotta be willing to move around and also work hard and try to figure out what you really want to do. Because then if you have a strong basis, like what you want to do, then you're more valuable in the future for other companies.
What are your goals in the next few years?
Maybe in the next few years, hopefully I can go work for Tesla.
I'm a hospice nurse.
I'm an archaeologist.
How much do you make doing what you do?
I've been working there a year and I make $76,000.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
Yes, of course, always want more because hospice pays very well. So there's a lot of room for growth too.
I make $52,000 a year.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
Yeah, it's kind of based off education. So the more education I get, the more money I can make.
What kind of education do you have in?
Bachelor's degree in anthropology.
I also have a bachelor's degree in
Nice.
nursing.
What advice would you share with others who are interested in doing what you do, or just in general, what have you learned?
I would say for most nurses, they should try getting out of the hospital setting and see what other jobs there are because there are a lot of different nursing jobs and a lot of them will pay really well and
Yeah.
some of them have different schedules that are more flexible or better for your lifestyle.
How is your work-life balance?
It's really good. It's
Good,
really great.
great.
Hospice is great. I build my own schedules.
I would say archaeology is changing and growing. There's a lot of room in the field, and so don't always listen to your professors that you're going to always be poor and never make money. If you want to do it, then do it. There's a lot of opportunity and room to do what you want.
I'm a data scientist.
How long have you been doing it?
Just for a year.
Did you recently graduate, or how'd you get into it?
Yeah, I graduated last year.
What kind of degree did you get, that helped you, or what kind of experience helped?
Well, actually, I originally wanted to be a lawyer, so I have a degree in English and geography, and then I minored in data science. I took a long time because I stayed in school just to do a degree change. Technically, I don't really have the degree for it.
How did you get the job? Did you play up your data science minor?
I was working at my college gym, and there was a guy who would come every day, a retired dude, and he'd always make bread and give us bread. And so one day I was telling him I needed a job, and he just found somebody that would connect me to it.
How much do you make in your current role?
I make $101,000.
Nice. Do you feel fairly compensated?
Oh yeah, maybe a little too much compared to how hard, for example, my mom works at working at Ralph's. I get paid way too much.
We see a lot of discrepancy. People that we feel deserve the highest usually make the lowest, teachers, social workers,
Yeah.
and stuff. So don't feel bad.
Yeah.
Always make your market research. How did you know how much you were supposed to make? Was it listed in the salary? Did you negotiate?
School that I went to, a lot of it was tech based, a lot of feeders into big companies like Google and Facebook. So I already knew what technically you're supposed to do, and I also knew going into it that if I didn't want to work really hard and be a lawyer, I could go into tech and make money doing a little less. Honestly, tech is so bad, but anyways, I digress. I think we get paid way too much for, I guess, the amount of work that we do, also the amount of impact that we have in society, specifically social media companies. And even then, it depends on where you're at. Also, some tech workers at different companies really need to unionize or they take advantage of work visas and stuff and whatnot.
What kind of advice would you share with others based on what you've learned?
Oh, it's networking. And networking. You gotta know the right people because it isn't really about skill or merit. It's literally about who you know.
So I'm a commercial banker.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing that for career-wise 18 years.
How much do you make?
I make about $125,000 a year.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
Yeah, I think so.
Do you know the salary when you applied for your job? Did you negotiate?
Yeah, I did, and I negotiated too.
Was transparency helpful?
Yes, it was, just being in the business and kind of knowing. So we're fairly open on that.
What would you share with others who are interested in doing what you do, or what have you learned in general?
There's a lot of opportunity out there, and there's a lot of need for skilled people that know the trade and know the financing options and lending options and stuff in that industry.
What kind of degree did you get to get into this, or what experience helped you get the job?
So I had a finance degree,
Nice.
but you could probably do it with a business degree or anything like that. But there's a lot of experience, obviously, so working at different banks and all of that.
I'm a customer service representative for for a body shop.
How much do you make?
I make $19 an hour.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
No, not at all.
How long have you been doing it?
Almost 2 years now. I make overtime, so that makes up for it, and I work over 50 hours a week.
I was
So.
going to say, how's your work-life balance? 50 hours a week, that's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It gets tiring. I'm exhausted all the time.
How'd you get into it?
My brother works for this company, and I'm trying to become an estimator there. Then I'll be making more money.
So you're going to move upwards in the
Yeah.
company. How do you become an estimator? Like, what do you have to do?
You have to do the training and then just basically do what I do for a little while, and then you can become an estimator. So you actually know what the hell you're talking about, too.
How much do you hope to make as an estimator?
I'm hoping to make like $70,000 a year.
What career advice would you share with others based on what you've learned in your career so far?
Work hard, like at the beginning, it's, tough and you feel like you're not compensated for what you're actually doing, but just keep pushing for it and then hopefully someday it will work out for you.
I'm an insurance agent.
How much do you make?
I make $104,000 a year.
Feel fairly compensated?
I feel fairly compensated. Honestly, feels a little too good.
Why do you feel that way?
This wasn't my dream job.
Okay.
I used to be a chef, and I was a sous chef working in sushi, and seeing all the grunt work that the workforce is putting in and the amount that they get compensated for it, it really kind of makes you feel a little bit bad, especially making a good amount of money doing something that conceptually to you seems easy. So then you think about all the people really breaking their backs and making half of what you make while needing to support a family too, because they didn't have the time that you had to take a risk or, get a license.
How did you get into your job? Like, what kind of degree did you have or experience that got you this job?
Funny enough, nothing. I was working as a sous chef, then I got injured and I wasn't able to work in the industry anymore, so I had to pivot out of there and just look for the money essentially to stay afloat. So I came across a job. I went in for an interview and they said that if you can take the risk and you are able to just go through getting the license and moving through, then the job will be easy and anybody could do it. So I was able to take the risk luckily at the time, and that was all it really took.
Do you like what you do overall?
I mean, yeah, I get to help people, feel protected, take care of their family, take care of their beneficiaries, like when they pass away. Overall, I feel like this is, if you want to do sales, but you feel like the jobs are generally just a little, like you're convincing people to do something that they shouldn't be doing, then this is definitely an industry for you because you're able to do sales while still feeling like you're helping people and also having a responsibility legally to protect them and not just get money out of them.
You said this wasn't your dream job. What would you share with them about what can they do to figure that out, what to do next, or just advice in general?
So as humans, we tend to not look at opportunities that are right in front of us because of the risk. What I like to think about is the risk of just inflation taking you over while you're making the same amount or maybe $1 more, per hour every year. So you need to really think about what's going to happen long term and take care of the future.
I do product support for a tech company.
How much do you make?
I'd say the range is roughly between like $65,000 and $85,000.
And do you feel fairly compensated?
Yeah, I do.
How long have you been doing this?
In this current role, over almost a year now.
And total years of experience?
About 5.
What were you doing before this company?
I was doing web design.
For yourself?
Yeah.
How was that going?
It was going well when I did it. We had a young child and wanted to work for a bigger company and not have to stress so much.
What career advice would you share with anyone interested in doing what you do, or what have you learned in general that you would want to share?
I think just take opportunities, even if it doesn't seem like the opportunity you want in front of you. It will lead you to the place that you potentially want to be, or it'll lead you in a direction at least, and just keep taking opportunities as they come.
I'm a public radio producer.
How long have you been doing it?
12 years.
How'd you get into it?
I was an English major, and then so I graduated with an English degree and had a very strong handle on communication and language and critical thinking skills, and it bopped around for a long time not knowing what to do with myself. Then decided when I was 25 I got to do something with my life, made a list of my strengths and weaknesses, and realized that journalism was a good fit for both of those. It magnified my strengths and turned my weaknesses into strengths. So I pursued that and interned for a long time and then got offered a job at one point. I thought I would do it for 2 years, now I've been doing it for 12.
How much do you make?
I make $51,000 a year with benefits. It's about $75,000 on top of that. And that's why I've kept the job for so long, is because the benefits have allowed me to raise my family. And because of the kind of structures in the American social support system, I can't quit my job and pursue my passions because I would be worried about whether or not I could afford health care and all that. So I often feel like we're pretty locked into positions sometimes when we slap on what we call the golden handcuffs at the job that I'm at. When you get really good benefits, you don't want to leave a position.
How's your work-life balance?
My work-life balance is much better ever since COVID. Before COVID, we had expectations in the office from 9 to 5. There was no getting around that. But COVID kind of broke that down. We're kind of back to a hybrid system. But I also feel that I can leave to take care of things when and if I need to. So there's a lot more flexibility now. With regards to my benefits, our health care is 100% covered if we stay in system, which is absolutely huge. Our first son was in the hospital for 10 days, and my wife was readmitted after birth with severe preeclampsia. When we got that bill, that was like over $100,000, and we owed zero because of the benefits. Yeah, we have good retirement benefits and lots of extra benefits that you can take advantage of if you know how to. So I try to really maximize my benefit structure.
What career advice would you share with others who are maybe graduating right now, or just what have you learned in general that you would want to share with others?
My career advice would be look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, look at what you want to do, what makes you happy. And often it's not going to be money. Money makes a lot of things easier. But if you have a job that is paying the bills, but you hate showing up to from 9 to 5, that's 40 hours of your week, of your alive, waking work week that you're miserable. For what?
I'm a pharmacist.
How much do you make?
Around 130.
Do you feel fairly compensated?
Yeah, absolutely.
How long have you been doing it?
12 years.
What kind of education did you need, or how'd you get into it?
I needed a 4-year degree after college.
How was that experience?
I mean, it was good. Like, there's a lot of maturity that comes along with graduate school and like extra schooling. I think that helped at least career longevity.
What advice would you share with possibly new grads or anyone? What have you learned in your career so far that you would like to share?
Don't be afraid to make a mistake.